What if I told you that one sentence, said calmly, confidently, without a hint of desperation, could bypass resistance, drop emotional defenses, and plant desire in the subconscious without ever asking for it? It's not loud. It's not flashy. It doesn't chase. It invites. And once you understand the psychology behind that kind of phrasing, you'll stop forcing attraction and start waking it up in people who don't even realize what hit them. This is Stoic psychology applied to modern desire. And by the end of this video, you'll never speak the same way again. Let's be clear. Attraction isn't about scripts. It's about energy, tone, and who you are when you say something. The phrase you say, "No woman will resist," isn't a magic trick. It's an insight into how calm, self-assured people frame reality in a way that makes others lean in, instead of putting their guard up. Stoicism teaches detachment from outcome. That means your words don't beg, they don't push, they don't persuade, they present. And because you're detached from whether it works, it almost always does. So when we talk about saying something she can't resist, we're not talking about pickup. We're talking about presence. Words that reflect a level of grounded certainty that most people never hear in their entire lives, especially in moments of tension or flirtation. That's why when the right words are spoken with the right energy, they don't feel like lines. They feel like truth. And people are starving for truth in a world of performance. Number 1. I really like how calm I feel around you. This isn't flattery. It's not admiration. It's revelation. It's the kind of phrase that shifts emotional frames without raising your voice or changing your tone. It's calm, casual, and yet deeply disarming. Let's unpack why this line strikes so deeply. Most people, especially women, are used to being judged by how they make others feel. Whether they're attractive, entertaining, desirable, mysterious. They're rarely given emotional feedback that isn't about their appearance or social value. But this phrase, it reflects how their presence affects your state, not your opinion. Your state. You make me feel calm. This is not about seeking validation. It's not about her image. It's about the internal regulation her presence activates in you. And here's what makes it hit. When said by someone who already radiates calm energy, this sentence becomes a mirror. It reflects back a truth she wasn't even aware she created. And suddenly, she feels powerful in your presence, but not from control, from impact. This one sentence flips the dynamic. You're not telling her she's sexy or smart. You're telling her she affects your nervous system. That's real. That's vulnerable. That's grounded. Here's what happens next. Something primal. When someone realizes they have the power to regulate another person's emotional state without trying, a deeper part of them is awakened. They don't want to break that connection. They want to protect it. You've just made her feel valuable for who she is, not what she does. And if your tone is steady, not flirty, not apologetic, she won't feel responsible for your compliment. She'll feel appreciated. And appreciation without obligation is rare. It builds trust, it builds comfort, it builds attraction. When she feels safe in your presence and appreciated without expectation, resistance disappears. Because you're no longer approaching her, you're inviting her to stay. Number 2, I don't need anything from you. I just enjoy being in your space. This phrase is a psychological nuke because it neutralizes every single reason someone would feel the need to guard themselves around you. It kills the vibe of desperation. It removes agenda. It radiates emotional freedom. Let's dissect why this is one of the most magnetic sentences a person can say, especially when delivered with true Stoic presence. Attraction fades the moment someone feels obligated. When someone believes you're only nice, kind, engaging, or interesting because you want something, they tighten up. Even if they like you, they begin calculating, protecting, bracing for what's coming next. But this sentence cuts straight through that anxiety. I don't need anything from you. I just enjoy being in your space. You've just done something bold. You've given her emotional freedom by anchoring yourself in zero outcome dependence. That energy is so rare, it's almost spiritual. You're not there to get something. You're there because your experience of her company is complete on its own. Now, here's the paradox. The moment you remove your need for closeness, people want to get closer. Why? Because now their nervous system isn't defending, it's relaxing, it's opening. That's when intimacy can grow, not under pressure, but under peace. Let's go deeper. This sentence tells her, you're not a target, you're not a goal, you're a moment I enjoy. And when someone feels they're not being managed or positioned for your gain, they stop protecting themselves. They stop analyzing, and they start feeling. They feel drawn to the safety of someone who doesn't need to win them over. The person who speaks this sentence and means it from a place of internal security, not masked manipulation, becomes someone who others want to be around. Why? Because they don't take energy. They generate it. There's nothing more attractive than someone who enjoys a moment without trying to own it. So when you say this phrase, say it slowly, with presence, with neutrality, with quiet appreciation. Watch her eyes. She won't say much, but her body will tell you everything. Because in that moment, she'll know. You're not here for attention. You're not here for approval. You're not here to take anything. You're just here, with her. And in a world full of people who only show up to get something, that kind of presence is impossible to resist. Number 3, you don't have to perform around me. I prefer who you are when you're relaxed. This sentence is a psychological exhale. It doesn't just feel good to hear, it shifts identity. It rewires how someone sees themselves around you. And that rewiring, that's what turns interest into obsession, because most people, especially those who are attractive, high energy, or socially validated, spend their lives performing. They filter every word, manage every expression, curate every response to get a certain reaction. But when you say this sentence, you collapse that need. You speak to the version of them that exists underneath the persona. You don't have to perform around me. What you've just said, without saying it, is, I see through the act. And I'm not judging it, but I want what's real. That's rare. And rare is magnetic. This sentence is not passive. It's not soft. It's incredibly assertive and in the most grounded way possible. You're not begging for the real version of them. You're revealing that you already recognize it, and you value it over the polished version they give everyone else. That hits different. Because here's the truth. Most people never get to relax. They're stuck in image management mode. They're afraid to be seen without the armor. But when someone gives them permission to drop the act, and does so without turning it into a seduction game, their walls fall almost instantly. Now, let's go deeper. When you say, I prefer who you are when you're relaxed, you're planting a new identity. With me, you're safe to be real. And that version of you is better than any image. You've now become a space, not just a person. A space where their realness is not only accepted, it's preferred. That emotional space creates bonding fast because you're not responding to their projected self. You're responding to them. And here's what that does to attraction. It builds trust. It creates safety. It makes you unforgettable. Because most people connect with the costume. You just connected with the core. And the moment someone realizes that you prefer their unpolished truth over their curated surface, they stop trying to impress you and start craving your presence. This is the edge of Stoicism. You're not here to manage reactions. You're here to invite realness. And when someone feels more relaxed with you than they do alone, you've won the game without playing it. Number 4, I don't want to impress you. I want to understand you. This phrase disarms instantly. It breaks the pattern most people expect in conversations, especially in dating dynamics. Why? Because it shifts the focus from ego to empathy, from performance to presence, from self-promotion to connection. I don't want to impress you. Right there, you've already made yourself different from 99% of others, because almost everyone else is trying to win someone over, trying to say the right thing, look the right way, tell the right story. But the moment you say you don't want to impress, you signal strength. You're not auditioning. You're not performing. You're not asking for approval. You're observing, calmly, with clarity. And because you're not seeking a reaction, your words carry more weight. They're not bait. They're mirrors. Now let's add the second half. I want to understand you. This is where the psychological magic happens. Because very few people, especially those who are used to being pursued or judged, ever feel seen. They feel looked at, assessed, desired maybe, but not understood. When you say this phrase and mean it, you flip the script. You're not evaluating based on superficial metrics. You're offering attention without judgment, interest without strategy, depth without demand. That is rare, and rare becomes irresistible. This phrase also activates something deeper. It appeals to identity. When someone hears this, they stop thinking about how to present themselves. They start asking, who am I really? And why does this person want to see it? That self-reflection creates emotional opening. And opening is where intimacy is born. Let's be clear. This sentence only works if your energy backs it up. You have to mean it. You have to be present enough to receive the truth someone gives you after you say it. Because when you say, I want to understand you, and someone actually begins to open up, that's a sacred moment. And if you listen well, not to fix, not to validate, but to witness, you create a space most people have never experienced before. And from that space, resistance doesn't survive. Because you're no longer seen as a threat, or a performer, or a predator. You're seen as a mirror with depth. That's when attraction transcends performance and becomes devotion. Number 5, you feel different than most people. I can't explain it, and I don't want to. This line bypasses logic. It doesn't try to make sense. It doesn't overanalyze. It embraces mystery, and that's what makes it unforgettable. You feel different than most people. Right here, you've made someone feel rare, without comparison, without ranking, without inflating. It's not about being better. It's about being unlike anyone else. That hits a part of the psyche that longs to be seen for something unique, something deeper than looks, style, or status. This sentence isn't about beauty, it's about energy. You're telling someone that the way you feel in their presence isn't normal, and you're not trying to explain it away. You're just acknowledging it, calmly, with certainty. Now add this. I can't explain it, and I don't want to. Here's where the emotional hook embeds itself. This second half turns the mystery into art. You've admitted you don't have all the answers, and instead of scrambling for clarity, you're resting in the unknown. This shows emotional depth. It shows internal peace. It shows stoic composure in the face of intensity. You're not saying, I'm falling for you. You're saying, something's happening, and I'm strong enough to sit with it. That's different. That's leadership. That's emotional gravity. Let's go deeper. Most people try to dissect their feelings. They want logic. They want reassurance. But when you say this line, and you do it without pressure, without expectation, without any hint of outcome seeking, you unlock something ancient, spiritual seduction. You're no longer playing social games. You're engaging with presence so clean, so honest, that the only thing left is resonance. And when someone resonates with your energy at that level, resistance vanishes. Not because they're overwhelmed, but because they trust you. They trust your stillness. They trust your detachment. They trust that your interest is rooted in experience, not strategy. You didn't try to be impressive. You didn't try to be charming. You just felt something and voiced it with poise. And that poise, that depth, that mystery that you're not trying to control, that's what makes someone stop thinking and start feeling. And the moment they start feeling around you, without defenses, without scripts, without fear, that's when the wall drops. That's when connection begins. That's when attraction becomes a homecoming. Everything you've just heard isn't about clever words. It's about alignment. When what you say matches who you are, people feel safe around you. Not bored. Safe. And that safety isn't soft. It's magnetic. Because in a world full of performance, the person who doesn't need to prove anything becomes the rarest energy in the room. She doesn't resist your words because you tricked her. She lets go of resistance because your energy told her, "I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm here to be real." And in a world where most people chase approval, being real is irresistible. You don't say these sentences to get something. You say them because they reflect who you've become. Calm, clear, focused. Not a performer, not a pleaser, just a presence. That's what Stoicism builds. That's why it works. You are no longer asking for connection. You're creating space where it wants to live. That's the shift. That's the win. Now, if this video opened something in you, if you felt that shift even slightly, don't let it fade. Support the channel. Because this isn't a trend. This isn't surface-level fluff. This is psychological truth, emotional calibration, real human power that changes how you move, how you speak, how people feel when they're around you. If you want this kind of clarity in the world, if you want other people to stop chasing and start attracting through presence and purpose, then help us build this message. Like the video, drop a comment below, share it with someone who needs this message. Subscribe, because every week we go deeper. Let's shift the way people speak. Let's end the performance. And let's build attraction from the only place that lasts. From truth. This isn't content, it's clarity. Let's spread it. She says it so casually you barely hear it. But behind that one sentence hides the truth about her attraction to you. She's not being friendly. She's not being polite. She's calculating, watching, hoping you catch the signal before she shuts it down for good. If you don't understand what that line really means, you're not just missing a moment. You're rejecting her without knowing it. And the worst part? She'll never tell you. You either get it, or you're out of her frame forever. Number 1. Why she'll never say it directly, but always signal it. This entire game, this confusing, exhausting, fascinating game of attraction, is not about what people say. It's about what they feel, but don't say. It's about the unspoken. And here's the real punch. When someone is attracted to you, they don't confess it. They leak it. In subtle body language, in sideways jokes, in low-toned comments you weren't trained to decode. They have to, because the cost of being direct is too high, especially for women. They know being too obvious could mean being judged, rejected, or worse, losing control of the moment. So they mastered a language most never get fluent in. The language of subtle seduction. You want to win? You want to know when someone wants more than just friendship or vibes? You must learn to read this unspoken language. Because in reality, it's always there. Every woman who's ever liked you gave off signals. You just missed them. She said it in her way, and you ignored it. Not because you're dumb, but because you were taught to wait for clarity instead of learning awareness. But clarity doesn't exist in the beginning. There's too much fear, too much risk. That's why she whispers it through jokes, through questions, through hesitation followed by laughter. And if you keep waiting for something obvious, she'll move on, thinking you're either blind or too safe. This is why people lose their shot, not because they weren't attractive, but because they didn't notice when someone was. The goal here isn't to become a mind reader, it's to become emotionally calibrated, to understand when a moment isn't just a moment, when that comment she made about how your trouble was actually her confession. When that pause after she said, "You smell good," wasn't casual, it was her body speaking truth before her mouth had the courage. What makes this worse is how society trains everyone to doubt themselves. You feel the energy. You know something is there. But then logic kicks in, and you talk yourself out of the signal. You tell yourself it was just friendly, just polite, just nothing. Meanwhile, she's sitting across from you wondering how someone so attractive could be so blind. And here's the part that hurts the most. She won't repeat it. She gave you the window. You didn't walk through. She's not going to beg you to notice. Because to her, if you were that man, you'd already have seen it. And if you didn't, she'll quietly close the door and tell herself you were never really what she thought you were. This is why you need to pay attention. This is why presence is power. Because attraction is fragile. It doesn't wait forever. And if you can't hold the weight of subtlety, you'll never be trusted with anything deeper. Number 2, the psychology behind indirect attraction. Directness has always been misunderstood. You were probably told to be upfront, to just say how you feel. That clarity is the key to attraction. But the truth is, that only works in theory. In real life, people are terrified of rejection, especially those conditioned to guard their emotions. They won't spell it out. They'll speak through implication. Stoicism doesn't teach suppression, it teaches awareness. That's where most get it wrong. A Stoic isn't silent because they don't care. They're silent because they're listening, observing, measuring what's real and what's reactive. They're anchored while everyone else is drifting. In attraction, this gives you an unfair advantage, because you're not just waiting for permission. You're watching for the truth beneath the noise. And that truth is always there, hidden in her hesitation, her phrasing, her softness. When she says, "I don't usually do this," the average person thinks she's uncertain. A Stoic sees it as calculated vulnerability. That phrase isn't hesitation, it's an announcement. She's telling you, "I want to move forward, but I need to see if you'll honor the moment." If you miss it, if you treat her words as literal instead of layered, you collapse the tension she spent days, weeks, maybe even years protecting. You don't just lose a date, you lose trust. Not because you're a bad person, but because you couldn't carry the message she wrapped in silence. The emotionally impulsive person will either rush in too fast or freeze entirely. The Stoic holds ground, says less, feels more, reacts with intention, not excitement. This is where the red pill meets psychology. It's not about manipulation, it's about reading the battlefield before stepping on it. And when you move with clarity, calmly, fully present. You don't chase signals, you see them. You don't force attraction. You earn permission to explore it deeper. Every phrase she uses has layers. Every laugh has roots. Every pause has meaning. And when you live with Stoic clarity, You stop missing those moments. Because in this game, timing is everything. And most never even notice the clock is ticking. Number 3, 5 coded phrases that mean I want you. Let's stop pretending that words mean what they say. They rarely do, especially when desire is involved. Words become camouflage. They become shields. And if you only hear what's said, you'll miss what's meant. These 5 phrases are not compliments. They're access points. If someone uses them around you, they've already imagined more. And they're giving you a map with missing pieces, daring you to complete the picture. You smell so good. This is never about cologne. This is about proximity, chemistry, intuition. They had to be close enough to even register your scent. And the fact they commented on it means they liked it. But more than that, it means they were close enough to imagine something deeper. Because scent bypasses logic and goes straight to memory and emotion. This isn't about hygiene, it's about hormones. When someone says this, they've already imagined what closeness with you feels like. It's not a compliment, it's foreplay in disguise. Your trouble. This isn't an insult, it's an admittance. You've shaken something in them. You've disturbed a stillness they were trying to maintain. And the comment isn't a warning, it's a release. A way to let you know you're dangerous to my self-control. That's not rejection. That's the greenest light you'll ever get. I don't usually do this, but you know why this one's powerful? Because it's layered with internal conflict. They've already decided, already crossed the line emotionally. This phrase is their way of telling you, you made me feel safe enough to break my pattern. Don't treat this as hesitation. It's their request for you to lead and hold space for their vulnerability. It's getting late, but I don't feel like leaving. Translation: I'm trying to stay, but I don't want to be the one who asks. If someone wanted to leave, they would. They wouldn't frame it as a possibility. They'd make it final. That, but is your invitation. That sentence is a door, wide open, waiting for you to walk through it. Gently, respectfully, but confidently. We should do this again. If it was just polite, they'd smile and disappear. But this isn't just let's be friends. It's a breadcrumb. They're testing whether you take initiative, whether you follow up, whether you match their energy. Don't mistake this for social fluff. It's momentum. And if you don't use it, it fades. Each of these phrases is a whisper inside the noise. And if you listen closely, you'll realize you've heard them all before. You just didn't know what they meant. What your trouble really says about your effect on her. Your trouble, it's said with a smile, a laugh, maybe a small shake of the head. But behind that line is one of the most transparent confessions of attraction a person can give without outright saying, I want you. That phrase is laced with tension. It's not a statement of concern. It's a subconscious whisper of surrender. A verbal release of control wrapped in playful sarcasm. When someone calls you trouble, what they're really saying is, you're making me feel things I didn't expect. And those feelings aren't always rational. That's what makes it scary and exhilarating. You've pierced their frame. You've stepped into the quiet part of their mind that imagines, wonders, fantasizes, the part they normally guard. They say it because they need to shift the blame. Not because they actually believe you're dangerous, but because they feel vulnerable around you. That vulnerability forces them to cope with the loss of emotional control. And that's where your trouble becomes their emotional firewall. It's a way to maintain face while still giving you a hint of the storm they're suppressing. This phrase shows up when you've done everything right without even trying. You stayed grounded. You didn't chase. You didn't overshare. You were simply present, and it destabilized their entire frame. You walked in with calm, and their emotional system couldn't reconcile it, so they call it trouble. The truth is, people are addicted to contrast. We're drawn to what throws off our balance, not what keeps us numb. And if you represent unpredictability, edge, or emotional gravity, you're not just interesting, you're magnetic. But most ruin the moment by reacting wrong. They either make a joke of it, which diminishes the tension, or they deflect awkwardly, killing the vibe. What you do instead is hold the energy. You let the silence hang. You let the weight of her words linger in the room. You make her sit in that emotional state for just a second longer. That's the difference between being remembered and being forgotten. The ones who fade are the ones who rush through moments. The ones who stay in someone's mind forever are the ones who feel the shift and don't flinch. So the next time someone looks at you and says, "You're trouble," understand what they're really saying is, "I don't know how to control myself around you." And the correct response isn't to apologize or explain. The correct response is to smile and say nothing. Number 4, her need for deniability, how female attraction protects itself. Attraction is never as simple as "I like you. Let's do this." Not in real life, not in the world people live in. For many women, and for anyone conditioned to fear judgment, expressing desire directly is dangerous. Not physically dangerous, socially dangerous. Reputation matters. Perception matters. People want connection without the risk of humiliation. That's why desire is almost always wrapped in deniability. Deniability gives them an out. If the moment doesn't go well, if they sense you didn't catch the hint or worse, judge them for it. They can walk away with their image intact. This is the emotional escape hatch. And every attraction signal comes built with one. This is why she won't say, "I want to stay over." She'll say, "It's getting late, but I don't feel like leaving." If you accept the invitation, she'll follow your lead. If you reject it or act confused, she'll pretend it wasn't serious and move on. And now, you're the one who failed the calibration test. She needs to be able to deny it if it backfires. That's not manipulation, it's protection. The emotional risk is too high. She doesn't want to be labeled desperate, thirsty, too easy. So she drops hints. She lays breadcrumbs. She waits for you to connect the dots. This is why people who constantly ask for directness lose. The game isn't direct. It's layered, it's poetic, it's emotionally coded. And if you demand clarity in the form of verbal confirmation every time, you miss the energy exchange. You miss the subtext. You miss the moment. You don't need words when you're tuned in to tone. When someone's saying, "You're bad for me," while smiling and standing closer, they're telling you everything. When they lean in during a goodbye, when their voice softens at the end of a sentence, when they ask questions that don't need answers, those are emotional signals. You were supposed to catch them. You didn't. And now they've pulled back. Attraction dies in confusion. It thrives in awareness. When someone feels safe being subtle, because you get it, they go deeper. But when their subtlety is missed or mocked, they lock down completely. Understand this. She needs deniability until she knows you're the kind of person who won't weaponize her honesty. And until then, every signal she sends is going to be coded. Your job isn't to decode every phrase, it's to feel the shift, to see the invitation behind the irony, to listen with your intuition, not just your ears. Once she knows you won't judge her for wanting you, that's when she stops hinting and starts acting. But that trust has to be earned, not demanded. You can't force it. You have to deserve it. Now let's summarize all of this into one. This entire journey, every phrase, every glance, every moment you used to think was random, they were all signals. And they weren't small. They were everything. You just didn't know what you were looking at. "You smell so good." She was breathing you in, hoping you'd breathe her in too. "You're trouble." She was admitting you cracked her frame. I don't usually do this, but she gave herself permission because you made her feel something worth breaking her pattern for. It's getting late, but I don't want to leave. She stayed because you stirred something she hadn't felt in a long time and didn't want to lose. We should do this again. She left the door open. And now you know. You should have walked through it. Every time someone hinted, tested, or paused a second too long, it was never small talk. It was the beginning of something. But society never taught you how to listen. School didn't teach this. Most parents didn't model it. You were sent into the world with eyes open and ears blind to the language that really matters. And now that you know, now that you've seen what's been hidden in plain sight, everything changes. You stop guessing. You stop chasing. You stop trying to figure out what she meant. Because now you understand the rhythm of her language. This is what separates men who beg from men who choose. This is what elevates people from confused to magnetic. And it all starts with this: learning how to recognize unspoken attraction. Understanding that if you're waiting for words, you've already lost. What you want is already being offered through movement, tone, energy, and coded language. Your only job now is to stay awake. When someone flirts indirectly, when they lean in but say less, when they tease and pull back, they're watching you. They want to know if you can carry the moment, if you see them without needing explanation. The second you pass that test, the mask drops. And what was once subtle becomes obvious. This is where it ends. But really, this is where it starts. You've been told for years that desire needs clarity. It doesn't. It needs trust. And now, with these tools, you have the ability to build it, one unspoken word at a time. Support this channel. Not for likes, not for views, for impact. You now understand what most never will. You see behind the curtain. You recognize the truth in moments that used to confuse you. That insight is powerful and rare. But others don't have it yet. And unless you help spread this message, they'll keep walking in circles, missing signals, losing connection, settling for surface-level relationships that never touch their soul. So if this opened your eyes, make it open someone else's. Like, comment, subscribe, share. This is how we change people's lives. This is how we reach the ones who are one insight away from seeing the entire game differently. If you believe in clarity, in presence, in decoding truth beneath the noise, stand with us. Support the channel, support the message, and let's wake the world up. One signal at a time. You thought it was about being funny? You thought it was about showing how good you are? Wrong. You failed because you didn't see the war happening underneath her words, her laughter, her subtle glances. You failed because while you were playing chess with your mouth, she was playing chess with your frame. Women don't test men because they're evil. They test men because their biology demands it. Before she gives you her body, her mind needs proof that you're stable enough to handle it, that you're strong enough to carry the burden of her chaos, her emotions, her storms. Every woman, no matter how sweet, no matter how shy, runs subconscious tests when the stakes of intimacy rise. And if you crumble even once, if you flinch at her confusion, her challenge, her silence, you lose the game before you even realize it started. The men who win, they know the tests are coming. They smile at them. They welcome them. Because passing the test doesn't just give you her body, it earns her mind, her respect, her loyalty, the parts most men will never touch. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 most lethal tests women run before intimacy, and exactly how to pass them with stoic dominance. No fluff, no fake alpha trash, Real power. Let's start. Number 1. Jealousy triggers. She mentions other men to watch you break. You're sitting there, maybe on a date, maybe mid-conversation. Everything's flowing. The energy's good. Then, out of nowhere, she says it. Yeah, my guy friend always tells me I'm too picky. Or, honestly, I get hit on so much it gets annoying. Or, my ex used to take me to that same place. Boom. The trap is set. The test has begun. She's not doing this because she's cruel. She's doing it because nature wired her to test your emotional foundation. If you flinch, you fail. If you react, even subtly, you expose the weakness you thought you were hiding. You show her that her attention is the center of your world. You show her that you fear competition. You show her that your confidence depends on external validation. And once she sees that crack in your armor, she can't unsee it. It's over. Because here's the brutal truth. Women are not attracted to men who fear losing them. Women are attracted to men who know they can't be replaced. The moment you react to jealousy triggers, you show you don't even believe in your own value. You reveal that your frame is built on sand, not stone. She needs to know. If another man is mentioned, flirted with, praised, you stay calm. You stay centered. You act like she just talked about the weather. Because in your world, no other man exists. No other man competes. No other man is relevant. Not because you're insecure, but because you are so immersed in your own abundance that one woman's attention is a bonus, not a necessity. How to pass this test? Like a king, slight smirk. Don't overreact. Don't even act serious. Smile like you know something she doesn't. Playful reframe. If she says another man complimented her, shrug and say, "He's got good taste. Smart guy." Tease lightly, then move forward. If she talks about an ex, light jab, zero anger. If he was that good, you wouldn't be sitting here, would you? And then move the conversation forward. No awkward pauses, no insecurity, no emotional charge. You show, without saying it, that you are untouchable. The emotional battlefield? You control it. Her attempt to shake you? It only reveals how solid you are. And when she realizes she can't destabilize you, her respect skyrockets. Her attraction deepens. Because now she knows if she melts down emotionally, you won't melt with her. If life hits hard, you'll stay rooted. If chaos comes, you are the calm. And that is infinitely more attractive than anything you could ever say. Number 2, compliance requests. She asks for small favors to see if you fold. You're out, spending time together. Everything seems smooth, effortless. Then she says it. Can you hold my bag? Can you cancel your plans and come over instead? Can you pick me up and drop me off? Can you change your order because I'm craving something different? Sounds innocent, right? It's not. It's calculated nature at work. Small requests that seem harmless. But each one is an emotional checkpoint. What she's testing isn't your kindness. It's your boundary integrity. She wants to know. Do you compromise yourself for approval? Do you put her comfort above your own standards? Are you afraid to say no because you fear losing her? Because if you fold too fast under these small requests, you're sending a message she can't unhear. My time, my mission, my life are negotiable. You outrank my path, and nothing kills respect faster than a man who trades his power for crumbs of affection. Understand this. Women don't consciously realize they're doing this. But deep in their biology, they are wired to respect the man who leads his own life, not the man who rearranges it every time she pouts. The real game behind compliance requests. It's not about whether you can do something. It's about whether you do it at the cost of your dignity. If you're already heading to meet friends, and she asks you to ditch them for her, and you immediately say, sure, she loses a layer of respect she might never get back. If you're working out, locked into your schedule, and she suddenly wants to FaceTime for 2 hours, and you stop lifting to stare at a screen, that's not love, that's weakness. And weakness never wins intimacy. How to pass this test? Like a leader, use delayed compliance sparingly. If she asks for something small and reasonable without attitude, you can agree on your terms and timing. Sure, I'll grab that when I finish this set. Hold the boundary when it matters. If she asks for something that interrupts your flow, your values, your discipline, you say no. Calmly. Without explaining yourself, without guilt-tripping her, without losing composure, I'm focused on something important right now. We'll talk later. Lead the frame. Redirect attention from compliance to connection. I'm not changing my plans, but you can join me if you want. The moment you start managing her expectations without losing attraction, you transform from a nice guy to the man she can't stop thinking about. Because she doesn't want a man who sacrifices his life for her. She wants a man whose life is so powerful that she has to earn her way into it. Number 3, energy shifts. She becomes cold to see if you panic. You're vibing. Laughs, connection, flirting, everything's on fire. And then, her energy drops. She stops laughing as much. Her texts get shorter. Her tone becomes neutral. She starts pulling back slightly, without any clear reason. And your mind races. Did I say something wrong? Is she mad? Should I fix it? Wrong reaction. If you chase after her emotional drop, if you scramble to fix the vibe, if you start validating her, apologizing, trying harder, congratulations. You just failed the energy shift test, because this wasn't random. It was deliberate. It was subconscious. It was biological warfare. Women will shift their energy on purpose to test your emotional foundation. Why? Because intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional trust. And if you can't handle her pulling back a little, if you crumble at her coldness, if you freak out at a little emotional distance, how the hell are you supposed to handle her emotional storms in a real relationship? How are you supposed to be a protector, a leader, a grounding force, if you panic the second her attention isn't at 100%? You can't, and her subconscious knows it. The psychology behind energy shifts. Women pull back to test if you chase. Women go cold to test if your self-esteem collapses. Women withdraw energy to see if you stay centered, unbothered, and composed. Because real strength isn't tested during connection. It's tested during disconnection. If she pulls back and you start overcompensating, sending long texts, apologizing for nothing, getting anxious, she knows you are emotionally fragile. And emotional fragility kills attraction faster than anything else. Because the ultimate masculine gift to a woman is this: emotional immunity, unshakable presence. You don't just hold her when she's soft. You hold your own when she's storming. How to pass this test like a stone-cold killer. Mirror her energy calmly. If she cools off, you cool off even more. You match her vibe, not with anger, but with composure. Stay busy with your purpose. Her energy shift should be irrelevant to your mission. Work out. Handle business. Plan your next win. Let her feel your absence without punishment, without bitterness. Let her come back, and she will, because nothing is more intoxicating to a woman than a man who doesn't flinch when her moods fluctuate. If you can stay rooted when she tests your stability, you become the emotional anchor she can't resist surrendering to. Because deep down, she's not looking for a man who reacts to her. She's looking for a man who anchors her. Stay calm, stay focused, stay dangerous. Number 4, challenge of intentions. How she triggers your ego to see if you defend yourself. You're feeling good. The vibe's building. There's chemistry. And then out of nowhere, she drops a small, cutting comment. You're just like every other guy, aren't you? I bet you say that to all the girls. You just want one thing, don't you? In that moment, everything in you wants to protest. No, I'm different. I'm not like those guys. You're wrong about me. If you defend yourself, you fail. Because the second you defend yourself, you give her control over your self-definition. You fall into her frame. You start playing by her emotional rules. You lower your value in her subconscious mind. Why? Because if you feel the need to explain yourself to a woman, you're already operating from a position of weakness. Real power, it doesn't explain, it doesn't argue, it doesn't seek approval. Real power simply is, whether people recognize it or not. The psychology behind challenging intentions. Women challenge you to see how much power they have over your ego. If they can bait you into validation, they know they can control your frame. If they can make you justify yourself, they know they are the prize, and you are the applicant. It's not conscious malice, it's biological testing. Because a woman's safety, emotional, psychological, sexual, depends on choosing a man who is stronger than her emotions. And if she can destabilize you with a single sarcastic comment, you're not stronger, you're just another actor in the drama. How to pass this test? Like a true savage, smile and flip the frame. When she challenges you, smirk, relax your body, lower your voice slightly. Say something like, "You'll have to figure that out for yourself." Stay playful, not defensive. Mocking yourself lightly shows supreme confidence. Of course I'm dangerous. That's half the fun. Lead the interaction forward. Don't explain your innocence. Don't debate. Shift topics like her accusation didn't even register. Anyway, you're avoiding the real question. When are you taking me out? The point is simple. Never let a woman control your emotional tone. Never let her frame dictate your self-image. You are the mountain. She is the weather. Storms will come. Wind will howl. But you remain. Unmoved, unbothered, undeniably grounded. And when she sees you refuse to collapse under pressure, her attraction multiplies. Because strength isn't declared. Strength is demonstrated when someone tries to weaken you and fails. Here's the last invisible trap that separates the real ones from the weak. Number 5, time control games. How she delays to measure your impatience and self-respect. She says she'll call back. She says she'll text later. She says she's getting ready and will be there soon. And then, silence, delays, excuses, time drags. Texts go unanswered, plans get pushed. Most men? They panic, they double text, they call back too soon. They ask, "Are you okay? Or are we still on?" They expose themselves as weak, impatient, reactive. And the woman? She feels it instantly, one whiff of neediness, and the attraction dies. Because the man who can't control his own time and his own emotions sure as hell can't control a relationship. The psychology behind time control. Games. Women test your patience to see if your emotional world depends on their presence. If a man starts to orbit her schedule like a satellite, instead of standing firm in his own frame, she loses respect. Deep down, she's asking, does this man respect his own time more than he craves my attention? Because if he doesn't, if he sacrifices dignity for access, if he shows up panting like a desperate dog after every delay, he becomes forgettable. Not because he's bad, but because he's ordinary. Just another man who put her on a pedestal without her having to earn it. How to pass this test like a king. Never wait emotionally. If she delays, move forward with your own life. If she flakes, adjust your night. If she disappears, your mind should stay locked on mission, not on her absence. No guilt trips, no pressure. Don't text paragraphs. Don't ask why questions. Don't seek explanations. She's an adult. You're an adult. If she respects your time, she stays. If not, you replace her silently, without negotiation. Communicate your standards. Casually, not emotionally. I value my time. If you're free, amazing. If not, all good. Life's moving either way. Say it once, mean it fully, and walk with it. Because when a woman sees you treat your time like royalty, she realizes she's not just getting a man. She's getting access to an empire. And access to empires must be earned, not given away for free. If you stay centered through her time games, she starts respecting your schedule more. She starts valuing every minute she spends with you. She starts chasing your availability instead of you chasing hers. Because you didn't just set a boundary. You embodied the message, I am the prize. I am the opportunity. My life moves whether you join it or not. And that, my brother, is the most intoxicating frame you can ever hold. Lastly, she tests you because she wants to believe you're different. Most men see tests as annoyances, inconveniences, insults. But the men who win, they see tests for what they really are. Opportunities when she throws chaos at you, when she teases you, when she delays, when she challenges your ego. She's not just trying to hurt you, she's hoping, deep down, that you're the one who won't crumble, that you're the one who stays centered, that you're the one who stays playful, that you're the one who respects himself too much to chase her validation. Because if you can stay grounded when she tries to pull you off balance, you prove something that words could never convince her of. I don't just want you, I choose you, but I don't need you. And there is nothing more sexually, emotionally, spiritually attractive to a woman than a man who can desire her deeply, but never depend on her emotionally. The men who pass tests effortlessly, they don't even see them as tests. They see them as natural storms, and they smile walking straight through the rain. That's power, that's gravity, that's masculinity that cannot be faked, only earned. If this video just slapped your brain awake, if you finally understand why attraction isn't about words, but about frame, emotional control, and unshakable standards, then take action now. Subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button. It tells YouTube more men need to wake up and stop bleeding value. Comment below. Support the mission. By supporting this channel, you're helping spread real, life-changing masculine wisdom to men who desperately need it. Your frame, your power, your legacy. Stop playing small. Start moving like the man she didn't even realize she was begging to find. This is Stoic psychology.